healing, salvation, and happiness. It's your season. It's your time. God has plans for your life to prosper you and to give you hope and a future. Join us and learn how God's love and power can bring hope and happiness to your life. This is your opportunity for motivation, encouragement, and purpose.
Welcome, everyone. It's Kathy with the Daily Gospel Network, where we bring you education, motivation, and information that's sure to improve and enhance your life. And this episode is sure to do just that. Let's take a listen to today's great segment.
Please welcome today's guest, Tanesha Howard. Ms. Howard has worked for a year and a half as a record management officer. Tanesha has been in corrections for 18 years and has worked for the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department for 13 years as a correction officer. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you.
So just want to know, so why did you choose the profession to be a correction officer?
I actually just fell into it. I needed a job at the time, so I applied for it. I got the job. I got into it and actually really liked it. My degree was in business management. I had no idea about corrections. About a year or two into it, I feel like I just really connected with the different people that you come across, and I fell in love with it.
Oh, wow. Yes, and you mentioned you were like 21 years old?
Yep, I was
20 years of age? Wow. So you just started to like it though, but you at the time you really wasn't thinking about doing it.
I didn't know.
Yes, you went to school for business management. Yeah.
I did the job.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So how did you hear about the New Approach show?
I saw it on Facebook under one of my friends, Trina Jones, one of her page. She actually helped me with my son who has special needs.
Mm-hmm.
She met with him previously and a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So got connected with her. She's been a really big help for me with him.
Oh, wow. Great. Yeah. I had a pleasant time with Trina Jones. So why do you think it's important for the community to know about the programs in the prison system?
Because a lot of people don't take advantage of them. There's a lot to take advantage of in the prison system to help rehabilitate. There's a lot of family that don't know or understand the programs that is offered for their family members that are incarcerated. And a lot of people, I mean, I could get where your head could probably be or not be when you're going through the orientation process of coming through prison, especially if it's your first time. You know, you literally go through 3 or 4 orientations. So you may or may not be listening to all the things that they're throwing at you at one time. But there are so many things that are offered that's so important that will help them in their process, that'll help them further along, and that will help them succeed in and outside of prison.
Okay. So explain the process and how long. I know you said that there were different systems for different places or different counties. So explain, like, how do they become eligible? How soon do they become eligible to utilize the programs?
So it depends on how much time they have. So when they first get there with COVID, everything has changed. So the process is a lot different than what it used to be, before COVID. So now when they come in, like when they come to Lorraine, we have a couple counties that stay at Lorraine, but they still, go through the same process that they would when they go to CRC, which is in Columbus. So they'll be in quarantine. I believe now it's 10 days. It changes so much. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to say because, sometimes they have cases, sometimes they don't. So, it fluctuates with that. So once they come out of quarantine, they go on orientation for 30 days. Within those 30 days, they can't shop. I believe it's a little different now because of COVID and the lack of visits. I believe now they can do video visits. I know Lorraine is different than CRC, so I'm really not sure what CRC's policy on it is. But at Lorraine, they can do the video visits with still being in orientation because they all receive tablets.
Oh, wow. That's great.
They all get the GTL tablets so that they can, because they're in quarantine. So, they're not able to come out like everybody else, to use the phone. So on the tablets, they can talk on the phone, on the tablets. So after they go through all of that, they see the case manager, they see classification, they go over their plans, how much time they have, how much jail time credit they have. If they don't have any jail time credit, because sometimes, like when I'm doing the journal entries, the judge doesn't always put the jail time credit in there. That doesn't mean that they don't have jail time credit. They just have to write a letter to petition for the jail time credit through the courts, which takes a little bit of time. Again, that doesn't mean that they don't have the credit or the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they go over all of that with the case manager and classification. They'll determine their level, go over the time, what their plan is, what is it that they want to do. That'll determine which institution they go to. They do try to keep them as close to home as possible. They will not ship somebody that is from Cuyahoga County to Southern Ohio unless they do some crazy stuff like assault,
Wow.
right, excessively, stuff like that. Then they will put them in a maximum security, which is a little further. So that will prevent them from being, closest to home. But they do try to keep them close. In the event that it's not space, to the closest parent institution, which would be Grafton, Marion, Mansfield, Richland, Lake Erie, Northeast Correction. They try to keep them, within those. Again, depending on which county they came from, they try to keep them as close as possible. And then it also depends on which program they choose, which also will determine which institution, because every institution offers something different. Each institution does not offer the same thing.
Okay.
So all take into account.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I know you have a lot of success stories, but can you share any of the success stories, like the men and women that have been released from prison or, that were incarcerated and then like they started back out into society? Can you maybe think of a couple of the stories, success stories?
There are quite a few. Last night, I actually just learned of a few ladies that just had some more babies.
Okay.
So it's a difference in the level of dealing with them in the county and dealing with them in the state. I appreciate working at the sheriff's department for 13 years because you see them at a whole totally different level. Working at the sheriff's department, you see somebody at their lowest of the low, non-medicated, unaware, trying to go through trial, being sentenced, all of that. So I've seen some of them there and then seeing some of them once they get to the state. And there's one particular female, she had never been in prison before, had never been to jail, nothing. And she started hearing voices when she was in the county for whatever reason. She was locked up. Not going to say for whatever reason. She was locked up, a different environment. You locked up, somebody's telling you what to do, controlling your meals, your shower, your phone, your TV. It'll play on your mental.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many hours me and my partner talked to her to get her, back down, because if she would have went on suicide watch, it probably would have messed her up a little bit more, because she would have ended up in a cold cell by herself with a suicide blanket, a suicide gown, no phone calls, no contact with her family. And that wasn't, what she needed.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started with the state, I saw her and time goes by so fast. You know, she had been locked up for 6 years when I started with state, and she was a totally different person, you know, then like she almost wanted to run up to me and hug me.
Oh, wow. You made that much of an impact in your life.
She was like, oh my God. And the major was looking like, well, you know, like what's going on here? Because state is big on those, you know, inappropriate relationships.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, oh, you know, I had explained to her, you know, what happened, you know, when I had saw her in the county. And she was telling her, she was like, if it wasn't for Miss Howard, because that's what she knew me as then. She's like, if it wasn't for Miss Howard and Miss Benyo, she was like, I probably would have killed myself. And she was like, you know, it's people like that that does make a difference. You know, everybody's not the same. You know, there are people that treat you like a human being, you know, regardless of, you know, what you're here for.
Mhm.
So fast forward, she is now out. She did really good in prison. She ended up doing a special on incarcerated women, like a extended, it wasn't like a lifer thing. She did it with one of the females that was a lifer. It aired right before COVID. She was like head of the recreation department in prison. She did do the Lutheran Ministries program, which it is a really big thing for NERC. Now she's out. She has a really good job. She's reconnected with her kids.
That's
She has
great. Yes.
she has her own place. She struggled a little bit in and out, you know, when she first, you know, it doesn't, things doesn't happen, you know, immediately like they would like it to. You know, a lot of things had changed since she had been locked up. She had been locked up for 8 years. So, you know, it was an adjustment. I did appreciate, you know, her reaching out when she did need help with a couple of things. And, you know, I always tell them, if I can help you, I most definitely will. If I can't, I will tell you that I can't. But if I can direct you in the right direction, I most definitely will. But she's doing really good right now. I'm proud of her because she could have went a different route. Some people don't rehabilitate, especially doing so much time. It's that being her first time, it was a lot of time for her first time.
Right, right, right. And I'm glad that she had you helping her because, like you said, it's not a lot of people that have that compassion in that type of system, you know? Yeah. So, and I think about Judge Matthews. You know, I think everybody knows Judge Matthews. You know, his beginnings, I mean, he was in jail at the age of 17, had a petty crime. But then, you know, he went to University of Detroit and School of Law and was selected as a district court judge. He had a syndicated talk show since 1999. And on May 4th, he received a Hollywood Walk of Fame star.
That's
so
amazing.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, you know, you would have never thought from his youth that he would, you know, make that decision, but he had to make that decision. He had to change his mindset. And then, of course, I'm sure he had a village around him to kind of help him get to that level too. You know, he had a praying grandmother, they say. So that always works. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, you hear the horror stories when people are in jail. It's like, once people go to jail, it's like, that's the end all be all. Like, there's nothing else, there's no hope. So I'm hoping that this actual show will be able to, you know, convince people that there can be life after this bad choice, after this bad decision to commit a crime. You know what I mean? So what do you suggest the family say or do to the family members who are currently serving time in the prison system? Like outside, like how can we be supportive to the prison mates?
Keep the communication and always stay supportive. It's not always easy. You know, the family are doing time with the inmate. You know, it's not just the inmate doing the time. It's hard on everybody. It's not just hard on one end. But you have to keep the communication. You have to keep the support. You have to try to stay as positive as possible. Remind of the positive things, reflect on the positive things, and try not to reflect on the negative stuff. you gonna have the bumps in the road. No day is a good day, always good, or, going to be positive. There are bad days, there are bad moments. Keep reminding them to utilize the things that are offered in the prison. You can also call to the prison to say, hey, something's going on with my son, something's going on with my daughter. They need to talk to somebody. Sometimes as adults, we we don't feel like we need that help, or we won't go and speak up for ourselves. Even if you are in your 40s or 50s, sometimes you still do need your mother, to speak up for you. So be that person, be that mouthpiece for them, because sometimes you need to be in order for them to get what they need inside of prison. So just steadily be that support, because they need it, and it matters more than they express. Trust me. I
Right.
hear and
Yes. Yes. Yes, I totally agree. So now we spoke about the family members. So what about, men or women that are waiting to be incarcerated? What kind of words of encouragement would you give them so they can survive this type of, system that they're going to be in?
ask as many questions as possible. No question is a dumb question. You cannot always rely on inmate.com, as they say. Inmate.com is not always accurate. So that is what your case managers, your unit sergeants are for, your unit managers. That's what your COs are for. That's what everybody is there for, to direct you in the right direction when you have questions about no matter what it is you need, whether it's about visits, your money, the program, your time, no matter what. And if you feel like you're not getting the answers that you need, you keep pressing, you keep asking. They still not giving you what you need. That's when you have your family contact the institution or contact Columbus so that you can get everything that you need. Everybody is not your friend. Make sure you watch yourself, watch your things, be safe.
Yes, that's some good advice. We need that in surviving outside of the prison system. Really, I mean, you just basically have a whole life plan.
Right? You do, but I think that just as as a person, as a human, you get comfortable, you get complacent, but in prison, it's a little different, and you have people in there that's what they do, you know what I'm saying? And they're looking for that weak person. They watching, they waiting so that they can take advantage of. You have to be aware of that, because it can go wrong in a blink of an eye, and you don't want that for yourself.
Yes, I agree. So during your meet and greet, you mentioned that you wanted to kind of have like a support group for those who are returning back, trying to get acclimated back into society, and they need like that support, emotional support. I'm thinking that's what your program that you're trying to, try to get together, or try to become a founder of. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Tell the viewers about that.
So with one of the chaplains at the old institution I used to work with, we had originally started before COVID trying to get something together for people who are getting released, because it's not as easy as one would expect, no matter how much time you did, whether it's 5 years, 5 months, or whatever. Time away from your family and friends is time. You still, missing things. So trying to put together a group to help people to reacclimate to be back with their kids is a huge thing. I think that's one of the biggest things that push people back into the old lifestyle, so to speak, or to regress, because they want to fit right back in, but they have to learn how to rebuild that relationship with their child. So when they have that pushback, with their kid, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So that was one of the things that we were, trying to work on, was trying to help with them, not really like a parenting class, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a small kid, a teenager. It can even be a young adult. You know what I'm saying? I'm 42. I'm still, I still the mommy and daddy. So
yes,
I think that right there is a huge thing for men and women. So that was something that I've been working on pre-COVID. So recently, me and the chaplain were just working on that a couple weeks ago, trying to figure out exactly how to implement that back in, because, things are lifting up more with COVID, dying down a little bit. Some places are back to like mask things. So, trying to work around that. So, the parenting thing and financial is two of the biggest things that we're working on to try to help them to get reacclimated back into society, and also housing. Edwin's is also a really big thing right now, with helping incarcerated individuals with housing and jobs. So I know that she was reaching out to him as well, to try to see exactly what to, how we could implement both programs to help with incarcerated individuals. Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he has housing. He has a really big housing. For him.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. Okay. Yes, well, that's good. That's some good information. So provide your social media platforms where someone can contact you if they want to maybe get some counseling or some suggestions. Either they are incarcerated or going to be incarcerated, or they're a family that's, has a family member that's going to be incarcerated soon. So could you provide that information to the viewers that are watching?
My Facebook is Tanesha Howard. My social, my mind just went blank.
That's okay.
My Instagram is music, MUSIQ_Capricorn. That is on Instagram. I do not have a Twitter account. I believe I used to have one a long time ago. I never was a Twitter girl.
I'm not a Twitter girl either.
So those are my only two social medias. Under my Facebook, my phone number is on there, because at one point I was doing life insurance. I was actually thinking about getting back into that on part-time, but
Okay.
corrections.
I like. Okay, that's okay. You gotta just do what you gotta do. We had to have different streams of income coming in,
Yeah, I actually miss it. I miss working with my elderly. That was my biggest background. I miss working with my elderly.
Okay. So, well, I want to thank you for coming on the show. So it's okay if somebody reaches out to you, get counseling, or maybe even want to maybe you can come for us to do any speaking engagements. If anyone wants to reach out to you, that's an option that they can have, correct?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I thank you again for accepting the invitation, and thank you for coming to the show. Until next time.
I appreciate you.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. To all the viewers that tune in weekly, thank you. Thank you, Daily Gospel Network, George Sanders, and the staff. Thank you to all the guests that have appeared on the program. And just remember, no matter what you face, take a new approach. And remember never to give up. Until next time, take care.
I hope you enjoyed this segment. Join us next time for another great episode. If you would like to find out more about this program and its sponsors, visit them on social media. Meanwhile, stay tuned to the Daily Gospel Network for another great segment.